What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am, of course, your host, Rex Ruger. That's REXXX. You might also know me as the King of Sleaze, a.k.a. the Son of Glam, a.k.a. Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. Take a look, folks. Look at this quaff. Look at this face. Search your feelings. You know it to be true that you are looking at, undeniably, and the litigation will soon prove this. You are looking at the Son of Glam, the front man for the band. Just smoked a few grams. I got 1 million fans. I'm your ice cream man, Mr. Wop Boppa Loo Boppa Wop Bam Bam Shazam. Hot damn. Woo. Feeling good. And of course, most importantly, and I don't have a mirror around to prove this to myself, but I can see myself in the computer. So I know, looking good. And that's more important, kids, as we all know. Joined today by, of course, my quiet but never silent partner, the Freddie Mercury puppet. You might know him for his voice, which he never seems to use on here at all, but I digress. I do enough of the talking for both of us, so it is what it is. So glad you guys tuned in, man. I'm so excited about today's guest, and I don't get awestruck easy, but I've been digging this band, man. And, you know, when you're the son of David Lee Roth Jr., it's hard to, you know, upstage that. But these guys are kicking my ass lately, and I'm digging them, man. And they're here. Yeah, they're here. Like I got the whole fucking band here. He's here now. I'm going to let him in, and let's chop it up with him, man. This is going to be a fun one. Let me not pin myself, though. I don't want to pin myself. Let me unpin myself. To pin or not to pin? That is the million-dollar question. And we get him in here. Vinny!
Buddy.
There he is.
How are you doing, man?
And I want to let you know, man, that this could be a huge monumental moment for your career, because as you can see, and my audience should know this by now, and, you know, DNA testing will soon prove this, I am Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. If you can't tell, I mean, you know, come on, give me a little credit here, Vinny, right? I mean, do I got the look?
You kind of look like DDP, honestly, like Diamond Dallas.
I like that even more. I'm going to give myself a self high five.
What's up, man? So how are you doing?
Listen, man, I'm a lot better now that you're on here, man, and you've restored my faith in me finding new music. At 51 years old, full disclosure, I get stuck in a time warp, man, and I don't like to root myself away from my favorites, you know? I very seldom give myself a chance to open myself up to new music, although after having done 170 some odd episodes of this podcast, it's really helped me to do that, but I'm really digging what you guys do. Dude,
thank you, man.
Yeah.
So you gotta excuse me too. I'm gonna have to cook while I'm talking.
That's okay. That's you. Okay. Hey, you wouldn't believe this, but you wouldn't be the first guy to actually cook while talking to me either.
Well, yeah, I'm not that good of a cook. But
so I got to ask first and foremost. So by day, and I, you know, doing my research on you, you are a biology teacher, right?
Yes.
Are they still putting kids through dissecting frogs?
No,
that's over with.
No, we don't do any dissections. I know some teachers, not in our. Sorry, my alarm.
Right.
My alarm went off, telling me to talk to you. Let me bring this back up. There we go. Yes. So I know some teachers that I've talked to still do dissections, but honestly, there's not really any need for it. The anatomy unit of the biology section is so small.
Yeah.
And you really don't need to cut up a frog in order to be able to do it. I don't like doing it because I can't stand the smell. When I was in college, I took a vertebrate zoology class, and it's just a fancy way of saying just like classification of animal spines, right? But she had us dissect minks, and they weren't stored properly, and it was the grossest thing ever, and it scarred me for life. So
probably not the best topic to be talking while you're you know, while you're preparing your dinner for the night, but I had to know. I had to know, because I feel like, you know, in this politically correct world nowadays, it's somebody somewhere would be protesting this vehemently.
Yeah, you know, so dissection has a place, especially for, like, we have a veterinarian pathway at our school, like a vet pathway. And I know they dissect animals in there. I think they do cats, or like they did a shark or something like that. that makes sense. You know,
And I by no means would be protesting because my day job, I work as a nurse. So, I mean, I work in healthcare.
God bless.
So, yeah.
My mom's an MRI tech.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, so how do you get into music?
Dude, since I was a kid, I started playing. My dad gave me his bass. I'll show it to you because it's right over here. So, there it is. So my dad gave me his bass. Yeah, it's a '76 Gibson Thunderbird.
Yeah.
Gave me his bass when I was 9, and that was that. I started playing, and then got into metal.
So more important, So more importantly, how do you segue into like what's the gateway band for getting you into metal, extreme metal, hardcore, whatever you want to call it?
You know, I say this all the time, and I don't know if people think I'm joking when I say it, but ICP, Insane Clown Posse. When I was 10 years old, my brother bought me Jekyll Brothers. There we go. Whoop, whoop. Hell yeah, dude.
Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged.
It was meant to be. Was that Jake on your arm?
Yes, yeah. That was the amazing Jekyll Brothers. Yep.
Yeah. So that was the first, like my first introduction into music to where I was listening to this for myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because obviously I've heard music in the car with the radio and stuff, but that was the first album that I listened to that I was like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
And, that album is kind of new metal-ish. It's got some heavier tones on it because it came out in 98, 99. I know. Yeah, I know it's 25 years now. They just had the anniversary. But so after getting that album, I was in love with ICP. I fell down, like I went through every album they had, every Joker's card. But in 99, you couldn't walk into a Sam Goody or a God bless, what's the other one? So it was Sam Goody CD Warehouse. We had those by us. You can walk into any of those places. And by me in Milwaukee, it was Exclusive Company, which I live in Louisville now, but as a kid, I grew up in Milwaukee. But you couldn't walk in without seeing the Slipknot self-titled poster.
Sure.
And in the center was Clown, he's right there. So I was like, oh, well, I like ICP. I'm going to listen to that. So then I got that Slipknot self-titled, and then it was over for me. I discovered metal and Metallica. My brother was a big Iron Maiden fan. He was a big Misfits fan, so I learned a lot about that from him. But yeah.
And it seems like you seem to like bands that put like a little bit of a theatrical spin on their music too, though. You seem to be big on like the marketability and like the those bands having a little something extra, i.e., your Kisses, your ICPs, your Slipknots.
Yeah, I talk about that.
I like that too,
because Belushi Speed Ball itself is we're pretty theatrical with our live shows.
Yeah,
we've had to, as we started doing more shows on the road, we've had to compromise a bit, but we still have everyone participate in the party, and there's trash flying and everything. But dude, it's always so much more interesting to have a band that has extra lore behind it, I guess, especially when you're a young kid, and so ICP, Slipknot, like you said, Kiss, and still to this day, I think that holds true because Ghost is super popular, Sleep Token's super popular, all these costumed up bands, but Guar was the big one for me.
Huge.
I was a huge Guar fan.
Yeah. And it's come full circle because you have Jameson in the band, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is cool, really cool.
Dude, it's awesome. He's such a good guitar player. He's a good writer, too. So the new album, he helped. It was the first time I had someone else really sit down and help me write, because most of the music's been written by me and the drummer up until this part. So
one thing I do like about it, though, because I live in upstate New York, and obviously New York has always had a fantastic hardcore scene. Legendary bands. I'm wearing a Sick of It All shirt, Agnostic Front, the Cro-Mags. But a lot of those bands all deal with a lot of issues, a lot of social issues. You guys inject a lot of fun into your hardcore music, which you don't typically see in a hardcore band a lot.
Yeah, I'm pretty positive. I'll sprinkle some stuff in there, some real stuff in there in the lyrics, but that's up to the consumer to find what's real and what's
right.
But but yeah, no, I'm pretty positive as it is. I'm a really happy guy.
Yeah,
super blessed. My life is awesome, and so unfortunately, I'm not feeling those feelings that a lot of those hardcore bands are feeling.
And you're able to attain these feelings without the use of drugs.
Yeah,
that's good. tell you what attracted me was the Belushi Speedball name. I mean, first of all, I thought it was some kind of a play on, because ironically, for people that, maybe watching this and don't know, John Belushi, in fact, did die from a speedball. I'm a huge Belushi fan. I don't know how many times I've seen the Blues Brothers. I mean, I wouldn't even be able to even fathom a number. But so this is not really an homage to John Belushi per se.
No, we're named after Jim and his love.
Jim, okay. And now, what's the affinity for Jim?
It's because he loves Sonic. He likes Sonic Spinball for Sega Genesis.
Okay, okay. Yes, and I have seen in past interviews with you guys that you do like a lot of retro stuff. Like you are big into you put your albums on the Super Nintendo, the 64. You've infused your songs into a Teddy Ruxpin doll. That's a huge nod to the past right there. Because I have a wife who just goes absolutely bananas over strawberry shortcake stuff. Which is retro, very old.
Yeah. 80s.
You wouldn't believe what these dolls and some of this shit goes for, though. It's crazy.
I know.
It's very collectible.
Yeah, I had to track down a Teddy Ruxpin, and because I figured out how to do it, but to kind of foolproof my my prototype,
I
had to track down a Teddy Ruxpin, and I spent a couple $100 getting one. He's refurbished, so like the guy completely rebuilt him. So I had to make sure I had one that actually worked. So yeah.
And so where do you get this? So where do you get this technologic? I'm not very tech savvy at all. But so like, where do you find? How did you get good at this? Because if someone told me, hey, find a way to get your band's music onto a gaming system, I wouldn't know where to begin, and I wouldn't expect to go ask a biology teacher to teach me how to do this either. I would expect to go to like some IT guy or something like that. Were you always good with technology?
I'm a novice. I'm very, I'm very basic with what I've done, but I would just go down rabbit holes and I would see what I could do.
Yeah.
See if I could be able to basically pull it off. And it's just engineering methods. It's a lot of prototyping and a lot of trial and error, which is essentially it's the fundamentals of being a scientist. It's that concept. But I mean, ever since I was a kid, I loved retro video games.
Yeah.
My son, he's actually in the room right now playing Super Nintendo. He's got an affinity for it too. But man, like I said, the stuff I'm doing is very base level. It's just one of those things to where it took hours to kind of get it right. You know what I mean? There's always like some sort of troubleshooting thing.
And so I'm curious to ask, as a school teacher, do concerts or shows of yours ever crop up on school nights?
No, I try. Well, that's a tough one. I really try to book it to where it doesn't, and I book a lot of our shows when we're on breaks. But we had Milwaukee Metal Fest, and that was you couldn't say no to that.
Right.
And originally they had us playing Friday with Blind Guardian, and they moved us to Saturday, which I'm fine with because that was with Municipal Waste.
Right.
But when they moved us, our booking agent, shout out to Josh, asked us if we wanted to go ahead and fill that Thursday and that Friday, playing a couple dates with a band called Death Ray Vision, which had Mike D from Killswitch Engage in it. And we were like, yeah, absolutely. Like, we're huge. We love Death Ray Vision. Because like especially the original incarnation of it had like I think Brian from Shallow's Fall. Their new it's incredible though. I mean, it's awesome. But yeah, we were like, hell yeah, those did fall on some school nights.
So if you drag ass in there the next morning and you see one of your students in the back kind of half asleep, are you able to give him shit if he was at that show?
No,
you can't, right? You're kind of handcuffed there.
Yeah, Man, I really try to keep the two identities separate. So a few of my students found out that, I do this and they follow the band and stuff, but I really try to, for professional reasons, keep those two things kind of separate entities.
I get it.
Talk to the students about the band. Quite a few of them find out about it. And then only a couple of them will come out. And this is the first year I had current students actually coming out to my show. So, but I haven't had to play on a school night to where a student of mine actually went.
And so I might understand that you are really the only static member, that you have like a rotating lineup.
Yeah, we have a yeah. It's one of those things to where, again, I try not to go too far on this, but it's Joel Grind's mythology with what he did with Toxic Holocaust, to where as long as I'm in it, the band will keep going. But we do have a core lineup. Like Jameson's been with us for 2 years. Derek's been with us for a year. Daniel Neal's been there for 5 years. And, you know, as far as like that group of individuals, if you see Belushi Speedball, most likely you're going to see me, Derek, Daniel. And then Jameson can't do all the shows because that was part of him coming into the band. Is he's on call 24/7 for UPS. And I kind of presented it to him with the fact that this band does rotate the lineup.
Right.
Like, dude, it's perfect for you. Do the shows you can do. So he will do like the festivals. He'll take off for a week to be able to do like some shows out of town with us. But yeah. So interestingly enough, that's kind of like what Bill Nanspeaker and Green Jelly does. You know, he kind of goes all over the world and plays, and he's literally got an incarnation of the band in like all these different countries where you know, where he just says, "Hey, we're showing up. You know, I need you guys." You know, it's genius. Yeah, I call him Dad. I call him Dad.
He's great. Yeah,
our father. He wrote the Bible, man, for the way to run a band non-traditionally. He really did. Yeah, and I mean, that guy is such a huge influence to me. Because, you know, again, super theatrical, all the stuff he does. And he's the nicest human being ever, dude. And he reaches out to me all the time. And I can't say good things about him. But yeah, the whole way he runs the Green Jello premise, I think it's genius.
Yeah.
I'm not quite there yet to where I have a band in every city, but
he's a super busy guy, though. I've had many a conversation with him too, and it always just seems like it's a schedule thing with getting him on the podcast. But you know, it'll happen one day because we are in contact. But yeah, he's a great guy, but he's got a lot on his plate, and he's a mover and a shaker. You know, he gets things done. He's always busy. He's busy a lot.
Yeah,
and so one thing I want to bring up that I did see on your Facebook page, because usually when I'm going to have a guest on, I will try to look at their last couple of posts or even troll a little bit and see what I can find out. Now, do you feel like your powers are better with or without a beard? I know you were going through a struggle with growing a beard for a little while, and I see you don't have it right now. I've had my beard now since 2014, and it took a while for my wife to really like it, which I'm surprised that you were so gung-ho in growing one, because I feel like the opinion of most wives is they like their husband clean shaven.
Yeah, so I have alopecia of the beard.
Yes.
They call it Sorbet.
Yeah.
And so for a long time there, and it's stress induced. For a long time there, I was unable to grow my full beard. It was wild because it was like when I finally got old enough to get it all in, I started noticing like, why is there a piece missing here?
Yeah. Yeah.
At its worst, like half my beard was there. So I was shaving every day. I was real embarrassed by it. And then eventually it all came back in and I grew it out. I think I grew it out for a few months there and I had it real thick. And then around the time we played Baltimore, I noticed photos of myself in Baltimore and I looked identical to my brother Rocco. He's my older brother.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember. I saw a black and white photo. I was like, I didn't remember Rocco playing this show because my brother will come out sometimes and be on stage with us.
Yeah.
And then once I realized it was me, I was like, I gotta get rid of it. No more.
Yeah.
So,
gotta have your own identity. So what's the creative process like when you guys get together to make music? Does somebody come in with the lion's share of the ideas? Is it democratic? Do you all kind of spitball ideas?
Man, it's definitely. I wouldn't say it's democratic. But there's artistic compromise in there, but it's weird because again, this album is the first album that I collaborated with another musician to be able to write the songs. That wasn't Daniel. Daniel's our drummer.
Right.
So normally how it works is I write all the rhythm guitars. I go into the studio. I lay them down as scratch tracks. Chase Bensing, who produces us, he's the original guitarist for Belushi. He'll go through and he'll re-record my guitars for the album because he's a way better guitarist, but he knows harmonies and he knows a lot more theory than I do.
Yeah.
Bassist. But I play guitar in order to be able to write or had to play it live. So Chase would go through, re-record the guitars. Daniel would go in, lay down the drums. I'd lay down the bass, and then listen to it, lay down vocals, and then he'd go back in with lead guitars. And now this time around, I wrote all the rhythms out, and me and Jameson sat down and went through the songs, and he collaborated with me, and we worked it out that way. So essentially, I kind of the way to look at it is like I come up with the concept, and they help flesh it all out.
And you do most of the lyrics yourself as well?
Oh yeah. Majority. Majority of the lyrics.
And what are your own kids' reactions to the music? Because there seems to be a lot of fun topics being talked about in there. There's a lot of anime stuff, SpongeBob references. I mean,
right. Yeah.
I mean, your kids must love it.
It's anything I'm into as a kid. You know what I mean? Anything that reminds me of my childhood, I throw that in there. So. And
I've seen in past interviews you're also, or you were, I don't know if you still are currently because I can't get into it these days, but are you still a wrestling fan?
Oh, so I don't follow it as closely as a lot of my friends do.
I can't get into it these days. I try to turn on Monday Night Raw, and I get about 5 minutes in, and I'm just like, you know what? The characters and the personalities and the microphone work. You know, that's a big part of it, your personality, not just your bag of tricks that you can do in the ring. But, you know, I think I started to check out when the Attitude Era started to wind down a little bit. But I was a big WCW guy. Loved the NWO. Loved all that stuff that they did back in the day.
Wolfpack,
yes.
Dude, I honestly, I don't have access to the TV. That's the biggest thing. My girls are always watching TV.
I get that.
So when I do get access, I'm limited on what I could watch, but I catch a lot of clips of it. But I like to take our 6-year-old. Me and her went to go to AEW. That was real fun. Watched Orange Cap.
Yeah.
And then we have OVW here. Which is the Ohio Valley. That's where like Brock Lesnar and John Cena came out of.
Right.
They did the Netflix documentary all about it. Al Snow runs it. And so my neighbor wrestles for OVW. His name's Cashflow. And I'll take the girls out to go watch him. And so we'll do that. But I mean, I still love it. I think it's really fun, but I don't follow it as close as my friends. One day I will.
I will say Orange Cassidy is a phenomenal talent. Al Snow's not still walking around with that mannequin head, is he?
No.
Oh, good. He lost the head. That's good, probably. That's not a real good look in public when you're walking around with a mannequin head.
No. Yeah. I'm sure that was 100%. Probably if he did, he'd probably get sued.
Nowadays, yeah, sure, absolutely nowadays. Now, what about your, as a hardcore frontman, are there other hardcore frontmen that you look at obviously when you're into a sport, you kind of put guys up on a pedestal, you're a baseball kid growing up, you have these guys who are your heroes or whatever. You have those guys in music for you? Like, are there any hardcore frontmen, who you, I don't want to say emulate, but I mean, who you look at as, wow, man, those guys know how to lead a band right there.
Yeah, of course. Tony Farista of Municipal Waste.
Yep.
100%. Dave Brocky, rest in peace.
Great. Yeah.
Dave is number one in my book.
That Guar documentary was just so amazing too.
I watched it a lot. Yeah, because it's so surreal. And like, honestly, that's really what it's like being in a band with those guys. Like that's it. You keep a band going long enough, that's stuff that happens.
Because obviously, me here in New York, I see some of the best ones. I mean, I see Lou Kohler, I see Roger Moret, I see John Joseph and Harley, and I mean, there's a lot of great hardcore has come out of New York.
Yeah. No, I get compared to the lead singer of Sick of It All a lot.
Yeah, I could see it.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean Harley's incredible. He's so he's pretty intense. That's one intense dude. But man, I mean, it's hard to say, dude, because there's so many good frontmen.
Yeah.
Dave would have to be number one. Dave Brocky for sure.
Yeah.
And
I think the thing I like about, I think the thing I like about, and I took away from that Guar documentary the most, is how like those kind of bands, and ICP went through this, I think, to an extent too. They're laughed at and kind of looked at as like, this is a novelty, this won't be around in a while.
Right.
Meanwhile, man, you blink your eyes and these guys are 25, 30 years into their career, and they're hip hop. ICP are hip hop legends. I watched an old episode of Howard Stern where they were a couple years into their career and they were arguing with Sharon Osbourne because they had kicked Cold Chamber off of their tour. This was back in the 90s. And Sharon Osbourne, obviously, you know, Ozzy's wife or whatever, you know, you can't really say anything bad about Ozzy because he's had a magnificent career. But she was more or less saying, you know, you guys are 2 albums in, you're a novelty act, you're not going to wind up shit. And Violent J actually said, years from now, we're going to be legends. And they actually are.
Yeah. He bet Sharon Osbourne during one of those conversations that they would go platinum.
Yep.
And they did. They dropped this star and it went platinum.
Same episode. Yep.
She never paid up. It was something like 80 grand or something stupid.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's 100% the truth to it, the validity. But people like to be entertained, man. They like to be entertained.
Yeah.
And when they go to a show, you know, the ones that stick out to them are ones that more than just playing happens.
Right.
And that's not, I'm not knocking any serious musician out there whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like if that's the way that you channel your art and you go out there and, you know, you play your damnedest and it's incredible to watch in terms of the talent,
right.
Like, so be it. But man, you know, the way Belushi runs, we want the crowd to be a part of the show. We want them to be engaged.
Yeah,
you know, they're other members of the band. So,
and so what is it that that pulls them in? Like obviously Guar, you know, you can get doused with any number of fluids in one of their shows. At an ICP show, you will probably end up covered in Faygo if you're close to the front of the stage. So what is it that you guys do that pulls the crowd in?
So trash.
Trash. Okay.
Trash. No, we do. It depends. It's different with different shows. Again, we're still kind of figuring this thing out. I know we've been around for 11 years, but we've only really been touring as hard as we've been touring for the past maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
And still trying to dial it in. But we do what's called clean trash, lots of paper, toilet paper. And then we either do wet or dry shows. If it's outside, it's no holds bar. But, you know, like we have an industrial rave foam shooter that, you know, we shoot foam out, and we've done various types of liquids. We'll douse the crowd in cans of LaCroix because the whole trip that we're hipster posers. But man, just different ways to get the crowd engaged, dude. Any way that we can get them having fun. And Milwaukee Metal Fest, this isn't a brand new thing. This is probably about the 4th or 5th time I've done this.
Yeah.
But you know, we threw out 100 Nerf guns, all preloaded. And like, you know, so yeah,
that'll make people happy. That'll make people happy. You
know?
Anytime you can shoot Nerf at somebody, it's a good day.
Right.
You know, I would have to say. So, like, what is the plan? Because I can't go on Facebook now and not see. And of course, I'm following you guys. You know what I mean? So obviously, I'm going to get stuff on my timeline. But they're genuinely, even putting that aside, there genuinely seems to be a good buzz. Like, you guys really seem like you're really developing quite a lot of traction.
Dude, very, very blessed, very fortunate. I follow Matt Bacon Bits, and a couple years ago, he said this thing called No Zero Days, and I took that to heart. So I run all our socials, and No Zero Days means every single day I'm at least bare minimum making a post, or I'm talking to everyone I can talk to, you know, networking. I answer every single one of my DMs, as you know, pretty damn quickly. You caught me, by the way. I'm so sorry. I normally don't reschedule.
No.
But you caught me right when I got back from Milwaukee Metal Fest.
Yeah.
And I got about 60 merch items I had to ship out.
Yeah. I get that. Listen, man, I've got 3 grown kids, but now I have 6 grandkids, man, and a full-time job in healthcare. So, I mean, this is obviously like a side hustle and something that I enjoy doing, but I certainly understand when real life gets in the way. You know what I mean? Like, even me, myself, I've scheduled interviews and I've had to cancel them. You know, I mean, it's like my whole night got put a damper on. I went to pick my grandkids up on Friday, just loading them into the car at my son's house, and my granddaughter got stung by a bee. She's allergic. You know, I didn't even know any of this even had to happen, but my son had to depress the EpiPen. And apparently, if you're a child, you've got to take an ambulance ride and go be observed in the hospital for 4 hours from the time the EpiPen was discharged. Yeah.
Damn.
crazy. Just sit there and have them watch you.
Yeah. That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
God bless.
I mean, she's okay. I mean, obviously, it's just a bee sting, and it probably won't be the last time. But I mean, you know, that's her plot in life is carrying around an EpiPen or some some Benadryl, and it is what it is. Yeah, you know. I mean, you know how it is with kids. The fun never stops.
It's true. It's
literally. You know, so is this job with the band? Is this something where Belushi Speed Ball really took off? Things got astronomically, wildly successful. Is this something where you know, you would ever be put in a position to be on the fence with your actual career, i.e., your day job?
Gotcha. Man, it's hard. That's a hard call because I love teaching.
Right.
But you know, the dream is to be able to support your family with your art.
Sure.
You know, the dream.
Which in this day and age, with the music business having changed so much, is not always a given anymore.
Yeah. Well, it's really, it's different. It's really tough. I'll say that it's very different compared to, you know, luckily for us, we do really well in merch sales. So that's been keeping the band afloat.
Yeah.
But we're still not profitable.
Right.
You know, it's still in the red.
And now the new album, Stellkira, is what it's called, right? And now what is that a reference to?
Akira, my favorite movie.
Okay.
Yeah, the anime. It's my #1 favorite. I've seen that movie so many times. And then Stella's my cat, my Siamese cat.
Okay.
So okay. Like everything. Yeah, like, you know, shirts. So she's my baby.
And now this album just came out. Do you feel pressure? Because I talked to a lot of musicians on here. Obviously, you know, as I said, the music industry changing so much. Albums aren't being purchased the way they used to be back when I was growing up. It seems like a lot of people put out singles. They put out EPs. It seems like there's so much music out there. People don't want to be forgotten about. They feel like they have to flood the market and keep their name out there and relevant. Do you guys put that kind of pressure? Like when you put an album out, do you already start to think like, okay, we got to follow this up. You know, we got to get something out there. Yeah, I mean, or do you work at a pace that's comfortable, you know, for you guys? And like, what is the pace?
Yeah. I don't think the pressure was set in place on myself from the way the industry was. Right. Because that single release strategy, we did that with this album and it really helped. Yeah. Like we had 10,000 monthly listeners. But I had that pressure to continuously make content and make music forever. Like we've been putting out an album a year pretty steadily. And I think from What Us Worried to Stellkira, that's the longest I've ever had to go. I think it was 2 years it took to get everything in place. But this album, I was working on it. We were working on it back when What Us Worried dropped. So 2 years ago. Right now, this is the first time that we have an idea of what we're going to be doing for the next album, but I'm not in the studio right away. Like literally What Us Worried dropped, I was in the studio. But that's also just because our producer, he just had a baby, which again, shout out to Chase. And his daughter, I think, is 6 months old. So studio time's a little bit limited now.
Yeah.
And you know what, man, we busted ass so hard for so long. I told the boys, I was like, when this drops, let's just sit back for like a month and just take it in. Let it hang. I will say this, metalheads buy the hell out of some physical media. Yes. I think we sold close to, I think we're at 700 or 800 physical copies of CDs and cassettes for this album. Yeah. And it's only been out for a month. I mean, they really took care of us. So yeah,
I feel like the metal community is one of the last remaining communities that's just really embracing it. I think they unfairly get a bad rap, but I myself and my son will say this is very sad to do, but I've rolled the metal shows alone before when I couldn't find anybody to go with, because I'm not going to miss out on seeing a band because I don't have some companionship for the night. And my wife won't go see extreme metal. As extreme as she gets is us going to see some 80s hair metal bands, which, you know, full disclosure, I am guilty of enjoying sometimes. You know, I mean, the last concert we went to together was Def Leppard and Motley Crue, which, you know, I can admit that on here proudly, because there used to be a time back in the day, if you were a metalhead, you know, and as I said, I'm 51, when you didn't want to be labeled the dreaded poser, and you better not be caught listening to anything non-metal behind closed doors, or you would be ostracized, drummed out. It was bad. It was bad. You know what I mean? You had to stay in character. At least when I was in high school, you know, if you claim to be a metalhead, you better always be repping metal. Now I think it's a little bit looser. You know what I mean? Like now you can freely admit as you become an adult that, hey, I enjoy this, I enjoy that. It's a little easier to admit that you have an eclectic taste. Like one of my favorite artists of all time is Prince.
Yeah.
I love Prince. I love me some Prince, Vinny.
I
do.
I like Motley Crue also.
I just bared my ICP tattoo. I mean, I'm not ashamed of that. You know, I think there was a little bit of a time in the early 2000s when I wasn't so sure how proud I should be to show that tattoo off, you know, but
yeah, I was always a juggalo, and there was a bit there where we definitely were like the laughing stock.
Yeah, it wasn't taken seriously, and of course, then all of a sudden the FBI was watching them as if they were some kind of a huge gang of terrorists.
That's wild.
That was crazy. Yeah, that was absolutely crazy. I mean, yeah, you know, obviously painting your face and listening to a certain kind of music can put you on the FBI's most wanted list or watch list or whatever they were on. But
yeah.
But those guys have slowly become hip-hop legends, though. I'm proud of them for that, though. And a lot of it, as you said, with merchandise, it's all marketability and staying in character. Like if those guys show up to do a show or a podcast, they're in makeup.
Yeah.
Gene Simmons always isn't in makeup. Paul Stanley's not always in makeup. But Violent J and Shaggy are always those guys.
They have to be. Yeah. And it's what you just said. It's marketability. It's why bands like Kiss and Slipknot and ICP have done so well, Guar, have done so well and be able to stand the test of time is because of the fact that they're so easily recognizable.
Yeah.
And I think partially it's almost like a form of immortality.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they don't age.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think even Kiss has even gone so far as to say that when they're done, they wouldn't mind 4 other guys coming in and donning the makeup.
Hell, that's cool as shit to me.
Yeah, I mean, Kiss will last forever. I'm not so sure that this farewell tour isn't going to last forever, but it might. So far, it has.
Yeah.
But I mean, why not squeeze every last nickel out of it, though? I guess that's the way those guys look at it. You know what I mean? Because once the ride is over, you know, and a lot of these bands, it's very sad. Aerosmith is on their last tour. A lot of these bands that I grew up with, it starts to make me look at my own mortality and be like, holy shit, this is now classic rock, or these guys are now hanging up their guitars for good. You know,
yeah.
That's why I've tried to broaden my horizons and have like younger musicians on here and try to be a little more open-minded, because it does get easy. Like you got so few hours in the day to listen to music, you know, in a leisurely fashion, that you just kind of lean heavily on, okay, I'm going to slip in something that, you know, is familiar to me, that makes me feel a certain way. And I don't want to hear anything about any new music, you know?
Right. No, dude, I get it. I'm guilty as charged as not being as open as I wish I could be.
Yeah.
I try to push myself to discover new bands, but man, it's tough.
It is tough. It is tough. And it's not for lack of music out there, because as I said earlier, you know, I mean, there are good. I mean, I think they said that, like, you know, on Apple Music, you know, which is the platform I use, you know, there's 30,000 new songs a day being uploaded on there. Yeah. There's no shortage of music, and as I said before, with the singles and the EPs, everybody is fighting to get recognized on there.
Yeah. I think it goes back to what you just said with having such a limited time in the day. So for me, I have a limited amount of time myself, and it's allegorical to the way I play video games.
Yeah.
I love really deep story-driven video games, but right now, with the amount of time I have, I've been putting on like Batman,
right,
or like the Arkham series, things that I can just kind of play mindlessly, or Mario. So I think it's kind of the same thing, to where like I've been playing a lot older games that I've beaten before. So with music, I listen to a lot of the older stuff that I really fell in love with when I was in my 20s and teenage years, simply because it's I guess I can just throw it on and I know it's going to be good.
Right. But and now the SpongeBob references. Now I'm interested in the SpongeBob references. So out of all the SpongeBob characters, and I'm sure you know them all, is there one that you particularly like or identify with the most? I can sometimes be pessimistic, and I'm trying to be better about that, but I identify with the disposition of Squidward quite often.
Yeah, I'm a big Patrick fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick, he's Because ignorance is bliss, man.
It is. It is. That's true. Now, what about retro cartoons? Because you do like retro stuff. Is there a particular retro cartoon that you really like? I guess SpongeBob has been on quite a number of years, but I don't really consider it retro yet.
That's what I was going to say. If we're talking like the 80s, early 90s. So Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is always going to be like number one for me.
Yeah.
I really like the Batman animated series from the 90s, from the early 90s.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Yo has all of them, and so I've been working through there. You know, I love Transformers. My daughter, it only lasted actually like a day or so, but my daughter was all about some Transformers for a minute there. So we watched the old ones, but yeah, man.
I just bought my 3-year-old grandson his first bike, and it was a Ninja Turtles bike. And on the front of the handlebars, there's like a little shield with nunchucks. I mean, not ones that you can take off and swing around or anything, but you know, more of an ornamental set of nunchucks.
Right, that's cool.
But it added nicely to the bike, though, and I thought, you know, that's a pretty kick-ass little accoutrement to put on there, though. It's nice. It is.
Yeah, that's cool as hell.
And so I got to ask, you know, I did see in past interviews here, before I let you go, I did see in past interviews that when you come across certain characters in life or certain funny situations, that those can become fodder for songs as well.
Yeah.
So could Rex Ruger, which is me, Rex Ruger with 3 X's, mind you, could Rex Ruger potentially be the subject of a song somewhere down the line? And or could I become an honorary member of Belushi Speedball?
Well, the member thing's easy. You said you're in New York, right?
You have the power to make this happen, Vinny. No pressure.
Well, dude, come see us at the Bug Jar. We're playing Rochester later this month.
Okay.
I don't know how far away from you is, but come there. And
About 2.5 hours. About 2.5 hours.
There you go. You come out, man. You could be in the band. Throw trash out with us.
Wow. Yeah, I will definitely do that. And I may even bring the wig. I'm not supposed to tell people that this is a wig. So, you know, for the purposes of my lawsuit and becoming David Lee Roth's son, erase that from your mind. You did not hear that at all. But because I have to create a character for, you know, everybody and their brother. The real reason for the wig is everybody and their brother is podcasting. And now they have the ability to reach out to their music heroes and do this kind of thing with them. You know, so I'm all about, you know, a lot like ICP and Guar and some of the people we've talked to. I threw on this wig and make this outrageous claim that I'm David Lee Roth's son because I want to stand out from other podcasters.
Hell yeah, man.
That's what it's all about, right?
I respect the hell out of that. Yes.
Yeah. I stay very committed. I put 3 X's in Rexxx because I'm supposed to be the offspring of an 80s, you know, hair metal god. So there's a lot of pressure there.
It's perfect.
It is perfect, right? It is perfect. Yeah.
It's on brand.
It is. It's on brand. Hey, listen, Vinny, you know, I know you got parental duties. You got dinner on the stove. I appreciate the hell out of you doing this, man. It's been a real honor, pleasure. I am really digging the music, man. I just would ask that you would stay in touch. I would love to do this again, maybe with you, maybe with other guys in the band, but I would love to have you guys back on sometime.
Rexxx, absolutely. Have us back on. And
yeah.
Dude, it meant a lot to me that you reached out, buddy, and that you wanted to do it.
Yeah. I appreciate you because, you know, without guests, it's just me talking to myself at a computer, and that's sad.
Dude, yeah, but it's better than nothing.
I think my wife would have me committed. She might even be looking for reasons to do that, so I don't want to give her any.
Well, Rex, thank you for everything, man. I hope to see you in New York.
Yeah, so, I appreciate you doing this, Vinny. It's been a real pleasure, man. Please stay in touch, man. I'm going to insert myself into your life now. You're stuck with me.
I love it.
Thanks, Vinny. Appreciate you, buddy.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, talk to you soon, buddy. Thank you. There he goes, folks. That is Vinny Crastellano, and let me tell you, he is the front man for a band that has me super excited. Please go check out Belushi Speedball. These guys really kick ass. They're putting the fun into hardcore, which I know sometimes, well, maybe diehard hardcore fans might say, well, every hardcore show is fun, Rex. We have a good time. We mosh. We stage dive. But I'm talking about fun in terms of the lyrics are infused with fun and pop culture references and cartoon references and wrestling references and video game references. These guys are really fun, and the music kicks ass. It holds up next to any of the hardcore legendary bands. Your Sick of It Alls, your Agnostic Front. The music is still intense and uncompromising, but the material is just fun and frivolous And it's just a good time. And you know, the marketability is great. You know, these guys put on a hell of a live show. I haven't seen them yet, but from what I've seen in clips and videos, you know, they're having a ball out there. You know, folks, they're living their best life, and that's all any of us can ask. The newest album that just came out, as Vinny said, about a month or so ago and some change, Stellkira. Go check it out. What Us Worry is the album before that. Go to your platforms. I found them on Apple Music. I'm sure they're on Spotify. I'm sure they're wherever the hell that you listen to music. You'll find them. Belushi Speed Ball. And you will come back and you will say, Rex, I have seen the light. I had the light bulb moment. You were right all along, which I do hear quite often. Not as often as I should because I'm married. So most of the time I'm hearing, honey, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But in this case, I do. Belushi Speedball is a fun ride that you should all take. And I can't say enough about this band. Restores my faith in hardcore. And it proves to me that I don't have to just listen to stuff from the 1980s, the 1990s. I can listen to hardcore in the 21st century and find new hardcore bands on top of it. So I love these guys. There's a groundswell out there. There's excitement building around these guys. Great bunch of guys. Vinny, just super positive guy. Reached out to him about a week ago to make this happen, and glad we got to make it happen. Such a pleasure talking to him. Hell of a band, and sounds like a hell of a biology teacher too. And you know what? Thank God they're not dissecting frogs anymore. Let's just put that out there right now. So Vinny, big salute to you. Big salute to Belushi Speedball. Go check out the new album, Stellkira, Stellakira, if my spelling serves me right. And I won a couple of spelling bees too. So let me toot my own horn or make a wrestling reference here and do a little Brooklyn Brawler and pat myself on the back. And please go check out Belushi Speedball. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Thanks so much to Vinny Crastellano for doing it. That was a real blast. And remember, kids, until we get together and we do this thing again, remember, take it easy and keep it sleazy.